And reading that document, I thought Joe Biden won the Democrat primaries. But looking at their unity agenda, it looks to me like Bernie won.
Vice President Mike Pence gave an absolutely absurd speech. And I have a couple clips here. This is him attempting to fearmonger what a world would be like without Donald Trump. When reality right now is smacking everybody in the face of what a Donald Trump reality presidency looks like. But let me get to the first clip here.
Our economic recovery is on the ballot. But also are things far more fundamental and foundational to our country. It's not so much whether America will be more conservative or more liberal, more Republican or Democrat, more red or blue. It's whether America remains America. It's whether we will leave to our children and our grandchildren a country grounded in our highest ideals of freedom, free markets, and the unalienable right to life and liberty, or whether we will leave to our children and grandchildren a country that is fundamentally transformed into something else. Like those first Republicans, we stand at a crossroads of freedom. Before us are two paths, one based on the dignity of every individual, and the other on the growing control of the state. Our road leads to greater freedom and opportunity. Their road leads to socialism and decline. President Trump set our nation on a path to freedom and opportunity from the very first day of this administration. But Joe Biden would set America on a path of socialism and decline. America is a blessed and exceptional country, unique among the nations.
Okay, let me stop there. This is totally absurd. They have no leg to stand on. So this is all they have left to do is create a straw man, pretend Joe Biden is something he's not, and then use that as the enemy when that's not what Joe Biden's even talking about. But let me go over a couple comments here. He says, this is not about, Democrat or Republican. It's about whether America stays America. Yes, America stays America. Let's see what Trump's America right now is doing. Federal law enforcement use unmarked vehicles to grab protesters off Portland streets. So I just covered this in a separate video today where there is video of unmarked vans pulling up beside peaceful protesters, people dressed up in military gear, which apparently are federal officers, coming out, grabbing just a random guy who's not doing anything, grabbing him, taking him in the unmarked vehicle and driving off. This is Trump's America. So the idea that the actual question is if Trump wins and has another 4 years, is America going to be America at the end of that? If there is an end to that. So this is what they have to do. They have to lob these sorts of arguments that are justifiably being thrown at them and try and lob that back at Joe Biden, who is essentially a moderate Republican. Now, he also says here, Biden equals socialism and decline. Yes, Biden equals socialism and decline. Well, I guess that means the U.S. is not in decline right now, right? Everything's going fine right now in America. Nearly half the U.S. population is without a job, showing how far the labor recovery has to go. He's fear-mongering what they have already led to, what Trump himself has already caused. They're acting like Biden's going to do that. They've already done it. Or maybe he meant, Biden would equal a decline in COVID cases, because look at where it is right now. This is the U.S. Daily new confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people, rolling seven-day average. This is per capita, so it's all relative. America's up here, increasing in cases. This is worse than it's ever been right now. I mean, really more than double than where it's ever been in terms of new daily cases. Compare that to Australia, Canada, France, Denmark, Italy. You can go to this link. I always link to sources below the video. Add in more countries. The only major country that comes close is Brazil, led by another far-right leader. So this is the current state of America under Donald Trump. Now, there's one more clip here where he makes maybe the most outlandish comment.
The safety and security of a government devoted to law-abiding citizens in this country. But now all of that is under threat. Joe Biden has referred to himself as a transition candidate. But many were asking, across this country, a transition to what? And now we have the answer. Recently, Joe Biden combined forces with the socialist Bernie Sanders and the radical left wing of the Democratic Party. And we don't need to guess where they're planning to take America. Biden and Sanders recently released a document from their Unity Task Force outlining their agenda for the country. And reading that document, I thought Joe Biden won the Democrat primaries. But looking at their unity agenda, it looks to me like Bernie won. When you look at their agenda, the only thing that ended up unifying was Joe Biden to the radical left.
Okay, I'm just going to stop there. You get the point. This is completely absurd. Like, if you look at any leftist critique of that joint policy task force, including like whether it's my critique, whether it's the Young Turks, whether it's Kyle Kulinski, Mike Figueredo, whoever, we're all in agreement that the whole point of that was essentially symbolism, was to act like, we're working together to really fight for these shared values, when the whole point of the joint policy task force was to, yes, try and act like Biden was conceding to the left for the left-wing audience, when really he's not. Now, are there some things in there that is an improvement on his initial platform? Yes. But there's no Medicare for all. There's no Green New Deal. There's no free public college. None of the big ticket items are in there. So even though, yes, there's been improvements made to Biden's platform, and the left should and hopefully will fight Biden if he becomes president and try and push him to the left, try and get some of these big ticket items in, the reality is that's not who Joe Biden is right now. That's not what he's fighting for, and that's not what's in his platform. But this is the kind of BS they have to roll out there. And so Pence says there, a transition to what? So, he brings the question up or brings the point up that Joe Biden said that he's a transition candidate. Well, if Mike Pence actually finished the sentence, Biden's sentence, he would have gotten his answer. Biden says he will be transition candidate to put the Mayor Petes of the world into office. Young neoliberals like himself. That's what Biden is a transition to. So you see how dishonest Mike Pence has to be. Because if he just finished Biden's sentence, a transition to younger neoliberals is not a scary thing for people like them. But a transition, he has to make it a transition to hardcore socialism. The government's going to come and take your house. It's now the government's house. Or whatever the hell they're thinking. I have no idea, because all of this stuff is just pure fiction. So hopefully, Biden at some point will support I don't think it's going to happen, but hopefully Biden would support something like Medicare for all, which a majority of voters support, by the way. If you look at any polling, not just Democratic voters, a majority of all voters support Medicare for all. Because all you have to do is look outside your borders and see that every other damn country has a universal healthcare system. But that is not what Joe Biden's fighting for. Joe Biden is not socialist. He's not far left. It's not a Bernie Sanders candidacy. the whole thing is completely ridiculous, and this is their only course of action, and really it's a horrible strategy, because anybody with half a brain can tell that Joe Biden is simply at best a moderate.